Hey, it's Kevin DeWitt here. Welcome to another tip, trick, or technique session. In this session, we're going to have a look at unmasking the bass using Sidechain. So firstly, if you are new to my channel, new to my videos, and you like what you see, please click the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell to be notified of all my future videos. So unmasking the bass is something that I've covered in a previous video where we're talking about making sure that our low-end elements have their place in the mix and can stand out and not be masked or hidden by other elements. This is something pretty common with bass and kick drums. Obviously it can be bass synth as well. All of those sort of low-end elements can clash with each other. And we've used some other techniques in previous videos and probably some more in the future. But in this one here, we're going to specifically look at side chaining, where we're using a compressor and some side chaining techniques where we use compression to duck the bass out or the kick out, whatever way you want to do it, to get them to still get their place in the mix. So let's just get into it and I'll show you what it's about. So in this case here, when we're using a side chain, I'm going to concentrate on getting that kick in there. And what we're going to do is we want to get the bass guitar out of the way when the kick is hitting. And we're going to do that with a compressor. So how we're going to do this is, now the concept of side chaining refers to the fact that what we're doing is we basically feed the signal into a sort of separate channel that feeds into another track or another plugin, and it monitors it. You don't hear it, but it's monitoring it. So in the case of the kick and the bass here, I load a compressor onto the bass track. How you do this is going to depend on your DAW. So you are going to have to do a little bit of research in your DAW software to find out how to do side chaining and what plugins you can do side chaining on. So I'm going to show you how I do it in mine in Cubase. So in my case here, if I have a compressor plugin here, I can click this button here to activate Sidechain. Okay, so that's the first step. Now the second step is we then need to go over to the kick drum. And what I need to do is I need to send to this sidechain channel. And this sidechain channel gets created as soon as I turn that button on that plugin. So if I do a send to here, this will now send the kick audio signal out this channel here. This channel here comes in to this plugin because of this button. So this plugin now is monitoring the kick track. It's hearing it. It's getting the audio signal fed into it. Now, a couple of other things we can do in Cubase here, we can do pre or post fader. So if we want the kick to send the raw audio file signal without any of our fader settings or any of that, because in theory, where it is at the moment, let's say it's post fader, if we turn the fader down on the kick, then little or no signal will be sent to this plugin at all as well. But we might not want that. We might want this compressor to react to the audio regardless of our fader settings. And if that was the case, you would switch it over to pre-fader, and that way, no matter what our fader is set to, the full audio signal will be sent to this plugin and it will respond to it. So I'm going to leave it like that for the moment. And I'm just going to hide this. So what we have at the moment is, let's just solo these two tracks. Now you see here, if we look at this, you see the gain reduction meter here is moving with the kick drum. But remember, this compressor is sitting on the bass guitar track. It's not sitting on the kick drum. So this is where it's responding to the sidechain. So normally when you put a compressor onto a track, it's listening to the audio source of that track and it's responding to that track. But what we've done with the sidechain is we have now created this compressor to respond to the sidechain, which is the kick drum. So the compressor that's sitting on the bass guitar is actually responding to the kick drum. So then what that does, so in theory here, I can actually bring the fader down on the kick. Because I put it to pre-fader, we can see it here. So let's go for some really extreme settings here. So you can hear what we've got here. We've got the bass guitar basically getting ducked by the compressor every time the kick hits. Now these are really extreme settings I've got here. Let's find another spot here. So you can clearly hear in this one here, because the bass is playing long notes, but the kick is still hitting. You can hear it being ducked every time the kick hits. So what we're doing here is we're getting the bass guitar out of the way every time the kick hits. So it lets the kick through because the bass is being dropped in volume. So the kick has plenty of room to stand out. Now, like I said, this is obviously, I've gone extreme settings here to make this very obvious to be heard. It's probably going to sound really weird to have it that setting. So let's just start with a bypass. Let me just get a bit of a level with these two. Okay, and now let's do the same thing. So what I'll do is I'll bring it in partway through and we'll see what we sort of hear. So this is a technique that, I mean, if you listen to how it happens, we go back to another spot. You may actually sort of notice that this is a common trick in things like EDM and that, to get that pumping effect. So you can use sidechains like this to get the pumping in dance tracks, EDMs, whatever you want to call it, and they're responding to the kick. So you can, and it doesn't even have to be bass. So I'm talking about unmasking the bass in this case, but this sidechaining effect itself, you could put this on a synth or a pad or something and have it respond to the kick, so it ducks every time the kick hits, and you get that pumping sound that they do in dance songs. So again, as I said, this does not work on every song, and I would not use extreme settings like this. If I was doing it, I would do it a lot less compression than that, and I probably would not do it on a song with a double kick drum going like that. It would be more of a slower effect, and it obviously needs to be something where the bass and the kick really are sort of masking each other. So definitely give it a shot, but like I said, it's not going to work on every song. It's not something I use regularly, but it can get you out of a spot if you are having trouble getting your kick and bass sitting nicely together. A little bit of this that doesn't make the bass sound weird can give you that little bit of extra room for the kick to stand out and find its space in the mix, not getting hidden by the bass at all. But if you're getting the bass sounding quite weird effect because of this pulling down, then either adjust your settings, like your speed of your release, your tack, because obviously this compressor, you need to play with the compressor settings to get it to sound the way you want it to and how it's going to fit in the mix. But you might find that it doesn't work at all and it just makes your bass sound strange. And in that case there, I wouldn't use this technique, and I would start to look at more of an EQ style masking type approach or something like that. So there you go. That is unmasking the bass using Sidechain. Let me know what you think of it in the comments. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments. Love to help wherever I can. Again, if you like what you see here, please click the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell to be notified of all my future videos. Hopefully the videos have been helpful. I thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.